Hello and welcome to the Connection Compass. I am your host, Andrea Louise Evans. Today I am opening season 4 of the podcast. We have some wonderful guests to meet along the way. Today I'd like to invite you to check the show notes as I have a number of in-person events in and around the Greater Manchester area, and also a free online lunch and learn series. All the details are in the show notes. Today, though, we meet Cassandra Rosa. Cassandra is an award-winning author and an intuitive life and business coach. We talk about imposter syndrome, divine timing, and the power of intuition. So we explore navigating those now what moments, finding community that helps you face fear, and making bold values-led choices even when the way forwards is unclear. Hi, Cassandra. Welcome to the Connection Compass. It's lovely to be here with you today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Can you share with us a little about the work that you do?
Yeah. So I am Cassandra Rosa. I'm an intuitive life and business coach and healer from Toronto, Canada. And the mission behind all that I do is to help people to go deep within on their journey to finding clarity, conquering their fears, and creating impactful businesses. So in my offers and the way that I support the world, I have a bunch of different sectors. I have like one-on-one coaching for clarity, for business and purpose, and whatever it is that you need clarity in your business, there's that. Then there's the Conquer community that's really about helping people conquer their fears. And I work through the Act in Spite of Fear framework. And then I have the Ignite Incubator, which is really helping people to move forward with their businesses in an impactful way.
Wow. That's a lot. So, but you haven't always done this, have you? So there was another life, wasn't there, before this work? So
Yeah.
can you tell us a bit about that journey from there to here?
Yeah. So from a very young age, I knew I wanted to make a difference in the world. I didn't know what that meant. And come the time where you have to figure out your life in high school, as they say here in North America, I thought maybe I'll be a psychologist or I'll become a teacher because I can make an impact with youth
Mm.
and people that are struggling. So I ended up going to school for psychology, and halfway through my degree, I had this like now what moment? What am I going to do with my life? I feel like there's a higher purpose for me. So I ended up just finishing my degree, and I volunteered in Namibia, Africa, an after school program with kids. And I fell in love with mentorship. Just seeing the kids having these light bulb moments really lit me up. But when I returned back to Canada after that, I was like, how am I going to be able to make a living out of mentoring and helping people? I didn't know anything about the personal development industry. And while all this was going on, my family has an insurance business and they always saw me taking it over. So I thought, okay, I'll take over the family business. I'll make a lot of money and then I can make a difference in the world.
Mm.
So I ended up getting an insurance. And I remember there was so many days when I was cold calling and I was like daydreaming, like if you had a thought bubble, it was a bunch of
Yeah.
question marks. There was this gravitational pull to helping people and helping people with mentorship. So, not so accidentally, I guess I went to a networking event thinking I was going to find insurance clients, and I ended up meeting my business partner that I had. And we created our first business when we were 20 years old, doing vision board workshops in schools
Wow.
and community centers with kids. And I like dove deep into personal development, and it was amazing doing that work. And it was amazing seeing again more light bulb moments for kids, and we ended up going our separate ways. We're like still the bestest of friends, but there was, this shift of me having to define how I wanted to make an impact in the world. And in my journey, I worked sales and marketing. I'd left the corporate world because I
Yeah.
had to choose. I couldn't be affiliated with something else other than insurance. And I chose this question mark, this gravitational pull. And yeah, so I did sales and marketing. I was doing self development. I started to feel like I was an imposter to do this work, but I felt again this draw, this pull to make an impact. And from the time I fully committed and I was like, okay, I'm done with procrastinating. I'm done with feeling like an imposter. I really want to help people. From the time I consciously made that decision and started showing up in my business, it was 6 months and I became a full-time entrepreneur on my own. And it's been going on 6 years now of doing this work in a full-time fashion and helping people. And it's just this place of I know where I'm meant to be and seeing those light bulb moments for my clients and seeing them making their own ripple effect and impact just lights me up day by day. So that's a Spark Notes version.
Yeah, that is incredible. That's an amazing achievement in a short space of time. I want to take you back to those really early formative years and you having that inner knowing that you wanted to make an impact. Do you feel you could describe that feeling?
Mhm. Well, I loved to do like leadership style opportunities. I love to help people and guide people. Like I was in student council in elementary school and in high school I was on a music council. So I really loved to like be a guide and be a leader. And
Mm.
being of someone that paved the way and helped people, I was always someone that beat to the my own drum, and doing things in my unique way, even though it wasn't mainstream, and just feeling this like responsibility to help people, even from a young age. I was very nurturing. It was just this inner knowing, like deep inside of me, that's kind of unexplainable, except for this like pull, like this intuitive guidance
Yeah.
along the way.
It's
Mm.
quite difficult because I've had a similar feeling. So from quite a young age, I had a knowing too. It's a little bit different for yours, but mine was about finding somebody. And it's really difficult to describe what that feels like. You just know there's just like an anchor there, isn't there? Like a gravitational pull. And so when you look back at that time, can you connect everything together
Oh,
and that feeling that you have of making the impact, does that
mhm.
still there? Does that carry and still pushes you forward? So
Yeah.
instead of that gravitational pull, you've now got a push. Would that be true? Do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I always say with my clients, like life is like a big connect the dots. Like that when we were kids and you would make those pictures and you would connect one dot to the other, and then you would step back and be like, this is what I was creating. Like,
Yeah.
you might be doing connect the dots for a sunshine or a Dalmatian or whatever it may be, but you don't
Yeah.
know exactly what you're creating until it's done. So there's a bunch of series of steps that you connect like one to the next. You have to make these little decisions in life and you're not really sure where you're going to go to. And that can be scary and there can be a lot of uncertainty. But until you're on the other side of it, you don't know why things need to happen the way that they do. And I love to like think of life, whoa, if this one thing didn't happen, this decision didn't happen, I could be living a whole different life.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of these choice points in life that we get our decisions determine what our next step may be. So I think life is very co-creational in its nature. I think there's a lot of destiny and there's a lot of us having the power to make the choices that determine what our life will be. So I think there was always this idea of making an impact and helping people that drew me, and it always felt like a pull, and I think it's continued to feel like a pull rather than
Yeah.
a this, like, intuitive knowing, this moving forward, and on those difficult days, that we have in entrepreneurship where there's highs and lows, it's all part of the human experience. I really love to reconnect with what that why is and bring myself back to that impact word that always moves me.
Yeah. So I want to ask a question now. So I'm just going to try and work out how to ask ask it you.
Yeah.
So I have a similar pull. I think it's probably best if I try and explain it. I've had a similar pull, particularly in the work that I've done around the connection compass framework.
Mhm.
I would say that that came later in life for me, but it's come younger for you. So have you recognized it? And are you able to explain it in any way, or is it, "This is how it is"? Because
I think
sometimes it is, that's it, it's just, "This is how it is," you know?
Yeah, I think for people uncovering it too is like the no's, like knowing the no's.
Mm,
No to science, no to math, no to becoming a doctor, a nurse. Like I was always very clear of my no. I
right.
think that is really powerful in its conviction is having that like knowing your no on the inside because that will help
Yeah,
you to get to the yes. Like I remember come the time in high school where they're like, okay, choose what you're going to do in university or if you're going to college or what that's going to be. I was very unclear. There was a lot of question marks in the thought bubble of my mind if I was a
Yeah.
cartoon of like what exactly that was, but I think I had a very clear conviction on what my no's were.
Right. So then when you went into insurance,
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
you have an inner sense of conflict
Yeah.
then?
Well, I think it's because a lot of family pressure and a lot of family expectation and my family, I have an amazing family and I always wanted to make them happy and proud.
Yeah.
And, there was so many signs looking back. Like I was always pretty good of a student and taking this insurance test, I kept like failing it by like just like a couple points type of thing happened. Like it was a lot of the universe saying no, 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 showing me, but I was trying to resist that in the hopes of like making everyone else proud. So yeah, I think that it's just interesting looking back now of all the signs
Yeah.
that were there along the way. And I think I always had like a very intuitive connection with myself. I could always sense energy even from a very, very young age.
Okay.
And my empathetic nature, I think those were also clues at a young age of my ability to connect with and help people.
Wow, that is incredible. Is there a family history of that empathetic and being able to sense energy, or is it just something that's been unique to you? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think too, not to go too spiritual, but I've always felt like I was an old soul. Like
Yeah.
I really connect with people that were my own age at a young age. Like I always felt a little bit different and black sheep.
Yeah.
So I think those are a lot of telltale signs too of people that are awake to their destiny or are meant to be here and do big things is we're often like the black sheep of our families or feel different and unique in a specific way. So I feel like that could
Yeah.
be an indication too that there's a higher purpose, that we're an older soul and we're meant to be
Yeah.
here in this moment in time to help people in a grand way.
And I think sometimes it is very difficult to explain and have words that explain this type of journey. So if you use old soul, I think that's absolutely fine. And it's just an easier way of explaining it. It's really interesting, but you're the second person I've had a conversation with today about black sheep.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. We go to our own drum. Like we have a interesting level of discernment, right? That
Yes. Yeah.
in society is not really taught, right?
Mhm.
Discernment, we're just taught to say yes, yes to whatever our authority tells us. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of the black sheep type of people, if you want to call us, we have the no's on the way to finding the yeses.
Yeah. So would you mind if we just go a little bit deeper then? So you have this knowing that what you want to do and you're quite clear you've got this pull. Did you ever struggle with belonging, with feeling that you didn't fit in with the conventional path, those?
Yeah, for sure. Like I came from an entrepreneurial family, so I don't know if that's so conventional, right? So there was that entrepreneurial spirit kind of always embedded in me, if you will. But, at a young age, when my friends are going to school to become like lawyers and teachers and scientists and all these things, like the mainstream way of doing things. And I'm like, I want to start a business at 20. People are like, what? And like going and embracing a spiritual path with meditation, with crystals, with manifesting, with all of these things at a very young age and diving deep into it, there was a lot of confusion with family and friends being like, what is she even doing? And why wouldn't she just follow the family path and be really wealthy and successful according to society standards, right? So there's a lot of confusion. And I really had to hold my cards kind of close to myself because I think when you're doing a path that's outside of the mainstream way of doing things and you're trying to build your confidence as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a healer, as whatever your path may be, you're easily influenced by people. So I really learned to keep my cards close in the journey of creating and forging my own path because I could sense when I would be like so excited about some technique I learned that was changing my life and I ran over to my parents or my high school friends or people in my sister or whatever and said that to them and they wouldn't get it. I felt kind of defeated at first. So I really leaned on connecting with a community of like-minded people along the way until I was so confident and full of conviction that, being able to share it with people in my
Yeah.
life now, I wasn't so hurt if they didn't, get as excited as I
Yeah.
was about things
It's
I was interested in.
it's a little bit of protection, isn't it? It's like you're nurturing something, you want to keep hold of it and you want to take care of it, so you don't want that outside influence, especially when you've got that solid inner knowing that this is right for you. When did you do the Reiki?
Yeah, it was really interesting when it came to my business. I started with like goal setting, and that was type of the thing, and
Mhm.
productivity when I started my business. But behind the scenes, I was curious about my intuitive gifts, and I had worked with mentors at the time and started to learn about spirituality and intuition and meditation. And then I had this like experience that I started to like sense energy when I was taking a course at like an old theology building in the city, and it kind of scared me, and I took Reiki on the receiving end, right? Like as someone that received it, and my Reiki master that was doing the sessions on me was saying, like you're destined to do this type of work. And I resisted it for so long. And then it just naturally unfolded. It was like, maybe a year into my business journey where I started to learn Reiki and take my different levels, and I incorporated it in my business. I remember in the beginning, my business was starting out well, and I was doing card pulls for myself, and I had a card deck to the side. And one of my clients I was having a session with, and I stared at the cards, and I was like, "Would you be willing to like have a card reading with me?" And I did, but
Mhm.
she loved it. And from the time I really embraced my intuitive side and brought that into my business, that's when my business really took off,
Yeah.
even by putting the name of Intuitive Life Coach on there. So it was in the beginning of my journey. I wanna say, like, 2018, 19 is when I really started to take Reiki as a on the practitioner path.
So when you set out, you didn't necessarily set out to support your spiritual entrepreneurs. It just kind of happened that way. Yeah.
Yeah. There's been so many iterations in my business. It was like goal setting, achieve your dreams type of
Mhm.
content. Then it was productivity, ending procrastination, moving forward with your goals. Then it
Mm.
was like clarity. Then it was fulfillment focus. And now it's impact focus. So I think on the journey too, it's giving yourself permission as you grow and evolve and change to allow your business to grow with you and your purpose to evolve with you. Because I feel like we have many purposes in our
Mm.
lives for our own soul's growth and for the way that we're meant to help people too, and based on the different iterations of ourselves.
Yeah, that's really good. I do recognize that, yeah, that things change as we grow through the decades. So I want to ask you about the spiritual entrepreneurs that you work with. What do you think they struggle with the most?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's a few big things. I feel like it's the gravitational pull and the question mark thought bubble like I had of like, I know I want to help people, but I don't know exactly what that looks like. Whether it's their offer, it's their mission statement, it's their purpose. There's the question marks. And like that lack of clarity is stopping them from moving forward. I think the second thing is this one step forward, two steps back dance of like the fears, the imposter syndrome, the doubt, all of that type of stuff that's holding them back from moving forward. They may have an idea of what they want to create, but they might be doing this weird dance and it's keeping them stuck. And then the last piece is the how. It's like, okay, great. I kind of know what I want to create. I'm ready to do so, but how do I get things moving? So I think
Mhm.
they're overarching. All of them are feeling stuck in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
or maybe having a plateau with their growth and their business growth. I think it's just those are the three main things that they're struggling with most. Like, those were, like, the biggest things that I have faced on my journey too, is, like,
Oh,
the
really?
question marks. I'm like, "Okay, now I know how to tap into clarity." And, like,
Mm.
that imposter syndrome really stopped me from moving forward. There was, like, this lull between, like, 2017 2018, like that time after, my first business kind of came to a close where I was like, I don't know why anybody would want to work with me. Why wouldn't they just work with Tony Robbins type of thing? That was
Uh,
keeping me stuck that I overcame. So that was something. And then like the how of starting the business and finding my own unique way. It's interesting when you start a business, mentorship is so important, but people often idolize who they work with and make what they say like their truth, and there's not so much discernment. So I really love to help my clients to carve their own path and tune into and experiment and find their own unique way to bring their business forward.
yeah. S- Sometimes we do come across practitioners, unfortunately, that aren't always authentic. And I recognize that as a big fear for me as well. And I think probably being a nurse, as I have accountability and responsibility buried in my soul. And then you move to something different and you can feel vulnerable. So, how do we ground ourselves in that, move past that imposter syndrome, be unique, and really take care of people in a really authentic way that's safe?
Beautiful question. I think overcoming imposter syndrome is realizing that you don't need to be this expert. You don't need to be Tony Robbins to make an impact.
Mhm.
It's being a few steps ahead of someone. So I have a short story I can share. So I was really coming up against procrastination and imposter syndrome being the root of it. And in 2018, I went to a seminar and it was like a group exercise that we all had to do this martial arts routine in unison. Otherwise, we had to keep repeating it until everyone did it perfect. And it was at the end of a long day, everyone was tired. I didn't know anything about martial arts, and I had a friend of mine that I knew she had done it for many years. So in the group, I was kind of mirroring her and modeling her in my execution of it. And I started to get better. You know, I wasn't an expert with so many different years of experience, but I was modeling her and getting better. And there was a woman beside me and she was really struggling, like often not to point the finger at her, but there was many times that we had to stop and start over because she wasn't getting it. So once I was a few steps ahead of her, I tapped her on the shoulder and I was like, okay, just like model me and my experience. I'll walk you through it. And then in a few times, everything was perfect. We were done. And that was so revolutionary for me because it made me realize I don't have to be an expert with like a million years of experience. I just need to be a few steps ahead of someone. So, in my business and helping people to uncover, overcome their imposter syndrome and helping them uncover how they're meant to make an impact on the world, I always tell them look at like a prior version of yourself that needed to know what you know now most and create everything for them, every piece of content, every offer, because then that's so authentic to you because you know what worked for you and you just speak to that person. It becomes more internal of an internal job. It's not so much an external job of creating an external avatar that they talk about in business and naming them. It's like make things for the past version of you because you've mastered that.
Yeah, and that's where the authenticity comes from, isn't it? Because you have a knowing of how you've got to this point.
Mhm.
And so therefore you can do it once you've done it for yourself, you can do it for others as well, or you can hold that space or to be able to support people to get there too, can't you?
Yeah, and I think the authenticity piece for yourself is like incorporating a lot of stories
Mm.
about your breakthroughs that you've gone through. I found like the more that I've really embraced my stories and shared that authentically with people, it's been really powerful and profound to connect with my audience because people love to connect with like-minded people and stories. And I think kind of going back to your question and what you were talking about of, there's a lot of people that aren't authentic online. I think it's using your discernment and your gut and feeling like, is there a deep connection? But also something that's really helped me is looking at how are they marketing? Are they marketing at a scarcity? Are they marketing on putting themselves on a pedestal in their marketing? Because some people are like, I'm so rich. I have so much luxury. I'm $1 million business. Look at all this proof of I'm $1 million business, right? Get to your $1 million business too in a few simple steps, right? Like once I started to realize, you know, I don't know if I wanna be marketed to that way. I don't know if that feels good and authentic to me, and having that discernment, I was able to really be aware of who I was connecting with and what type of things I was investing in. So, really tune into, like, what feels good in your body. Are you looking to invest in someone because you feel like they have the golden ticket for you so you can get exactly what they want to be and take you out of that situation because you don't have things and they have the golden ticket? Or is it like, oh, I really connect with this person, I really admire them for what they do. I can really relate to their stories. I feel like they could help me to get to my next level. I think that's two different frequencies because I can think of so many times I invested in coaches where I thought, oh, they have everything that I need and more. And because I don't have it, I need to have what they have. So I need to invest. And my results as a student to them are completely different.
I recognize that you bring nature into your work as well. Did that come very naturally? Was it a piece of the puzzle that just came in and helped you to move things forward?
Yeah, yeah, I think I've always admired being out in nature and going for
Yeah.
walks, and it's a part of my daily routine. So I love to incorporate like the elements. I love to incorporate them in like a meditation and meditations and healings that I provide for my clients because all of the work that I do, I love to make it holistic. I love to incorporate here's your tangible tools, but also incorporate the spiritual with meditation, card readings, Reiki, all the different modalities and incorporating nature into elements of that is very important.
Mm. Do you find that in this modern day world, it's really fast paced and often we don't get chance to pause? Do people struggle tapping into that intuition and knowing what their intuition is, or do they find it quite easy once they've been shown how and brought down into a place of stillness?
Yeah, I think that the people that I attract tend to be spiritual, so they've done some sort of spiritual work. I think what happens with my clients is a deepening of that.
Mm,
Right? Being comfortable being still, being comfortable being in the quiet and being present with your thoughts, deepening the practices that they already have. I feel like there's almost a grand awakening that's happening right now. So I find that
yes,
more and more people are being more
definitely.
curious about their intuition. So I think that curiosity is great because it creates openness. And when you have that openness and that curiosity, that's like the gateway to go deep within and embrace intuition.
Yeah.
I think I think because of the slowdown of what happened, not to bring it up, but like the pandemic and all that, people were forced to slow down. I think that was one of the divine gifts of that is that people had to be comfortable in
Yeah.
stillness, quiet, slow down.
I I always say some of the things that have happened over the years across the world that there were invitations to go inwards.
Yes, I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more.
So you've wrote a book as well.
Yeah.
Now what?
Mhm.
Can you tell us more about that? It's definitely going on my list to read, but it looks really interesting. So tell us about it. How did you find yourself writing it? And was it just
Yeah,
another piece of the puzzle that came along
yeah,
with it?
yeah. Yeah, so the Now What? Create the Clarity to Achieve Your Dreams book came out in 2020, right in the midst of the pandemic. How divine, right? Because so many people were having now what moments. It was something that channeled down because now what moments were such big things that, were coming up in our mind when we have that uncertainty. We all have uncertainty in some point of our lives where a chapter is ending and a new one is beginning. And we say, now what? Even in, the big times like breakups, career changes, starting a business, a quarter midlife crises that we have. But even in the small moments of there's a little change that happened today. Now what am I going to do? And in that book, it's very much a lot of personal stories, but also a workbook with a lot of interactive exercises where you just bring your pen, have the book, and you do the exercises right then and there in the book, which I thought was really important. So if you give your all and you go through it, there's some sort of breakthrough that awaits you in that book. The inspiration behind it was just helping people to find clarity in those moments of making these big life decisions and having it be something that you can come back to over and over again for all of life's now what moments. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
So you've got a full body of it. I mean, you've got podcasts, some which you collaborate as well, don't you, on your podcasts, and you have your group play.
Yeah, so I have an Instagram live series called Conquer, where I interview people like you and we talk about pulling back the curtain of the spiritual entrepreneurship journey, talk about the obstacles and fears that we face. So that's something I have on Instagram. I have a Facebook group called Impactful Female Entrepreneurs that we do live trainings in there. So there's lots of things going on.
When you look back at your journey and everything that's happened and everything that you have planned in the future,
Mhm.
would you describe it as divine timing?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I think the orchestration of each project is so divinely placed, and I
Mm,
think it's more than me in the creation of it. I feel like it's the
yes.
connection with my guides, my higher self, creator, like all these beautiful things that help me to bring forth the projects that are meant to serve in the moment that they're meant to. And I feel like there's been such a divine intersection going back to that connect the dots of all the different things that had to
Yeah.
lead up. to this present moment. And for that, I'm grateful.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what would your hopes and wishes be for the world? Maybe? Yeah.
And question. I could talk about this for a whole podcast episode, Andrea. I think it's just people coming back to their power. I think we give so
Yeah.
much power on the outside to external circumstances, to governments, to uh,
Mm.
the climate, all these different things, right?
Yeah.
And that takes our power away and gives it away to people that might not have our best interests at heart at all times,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
One of the biggest things the past few years has been for me is a coming home and realizing that I'm the creator of my life and allowing my intuition to be a gateway to my inner truth and my personal power. So I think that's a powerful message that everyone needs to hear is that like we have
Yeah.
the power of discernment. We get to determine what our truth is. Nobody can tell us what our truth is. So I wish like the world would just come back to that their inner truth.
To come home to you, which
Yeah.
is why our intuition is so important.
Yeah, it's like the gateway to all of that. I think it's also too like and not to be morbid, but like our life is finite, right? Like we don't have an infinite amount of time. So it's really giving ourselves permission to bring those daydreams into reality with a series of small steps, right? Because I feel like if people started to bring their daydreams into life and really acted on their inner knowing, this world would be a completely different place. If you're
Yeah,
making an impact, in your home alone, right? Being
yeah,
like a beacon of light and love in your home. If you are bringing forth a business idea, if you are leaning into that curiosity of, ooh, I'm really interested about Reiki. I really would love to take that, right? Or even if it's just, feeling like I want to have a great day today and I'm going to smile at someone on the bus. Like people just really giving themselves permission to bring those daydreams to life and be who they are on the inside for the external world to see this world be a different place. So I think it's a mix of personal power and giving yourself permission to live your inner truth and bring your dreams to reality.
and what have you got planned for the future?
Oh, there's so much.
Are you going to write another book, do you think?
Yeah, that's something on the horizon that I'm gonna go deep into for the second half of the year. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. Just continuing with my programs, growing my communities in everything that I create. Yeah, I wanna move to Mexico and out of Canada into Mexico and live on the beach personally. Having a family is also on my dreams to achieve, but yeah, I'm really excited for the future ahead, and I think it's interesting, like, I used to be so type A and have everything planned out, and now
Yeah,
I've been like, I know my grand vision and what I want, and I'm really surrendering to the unfolding. So I
yeah,
should enjoy the process more, you know?
that's incredible. It's an incredible journey, and I've loved talking to you, Cassandra. It's been really, really interesting, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. You asked amazing questions, and I'm really excited about what you're doing and
Oh,
excited to see who this conversation is going to reach.
thank you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Connection Compass. If you found this episode will help somebody else, please leave a review. Don't forget to check the details of the show notes for the masterclasses and online in-person events around Manchester, Greater Manchester, and also for more about Cassandra's work. And finally, remember to keep talking, keep connecting for a more interconnected world.